entering a different part of Stone Mountain Park, and it's quite peaceful and lovely. There's really nobody here. This is called Historic Square. Yeah, Historic Square. It's a collection of Georgian homes that were built through the 1700s and 1900s, and they were lovingly transported here so they can be preserved, and they're on display. So you can walk through, take a look at them. I'm told there's a couple you can go inside, and the rest you just enjoy from the outside. And it's just in this really lovely area of the park, pretty trees in bloom. I see a couple other people, so there are some people here, but it's super quiet, so I'm gonna enjoy checking this out. So this is a map of the square, and I guess where we're starting is right down here. This is about where I am at the entrance, and now I'm over here. So I guess we're gonna head this way to number 2 and see what it all has in store for us today. It should be pretty interesting. All right, so number 2 is gonna be this way. Let's see, they gave me this map to follow. So number 2 is the Allen House. This was the manor house of the 300 acres of the Allen Plantation. The style of the building and characteristic of the late federal period is characteristic. This is very small print. Most of the Palladian windows still contain handmade glass. The I can't talk today. Octagonal columns outside and the overhead timbers downstairs are made from hand-hewn heart pine, adding both strength and beauty to the building. Why can't I say octagonal? My gosh, I've said that word a million times in my lifetime. All right, so the Allen House from Bartow County, or Bartow County, Georgia. This is it. Circa 1845. This is built in 1845. Late Federal style home has 7 rooms and 2 levels. It was originally located near the town of Kingston, a railroad boom town in the northwest part of the state. Let's go see. I don't know. I know she said a couple of these were closed. And there's a giant bug. I don't know what that is, but I don't think I want to get near it. It looks like a bee. Maybe we'll come back to this. We'll come back to number 2. What is number 3? Number 3 is a storage crib, which is back here. Doesn't really look like an 1845 house. So let's see. The storage crib is a single crib or pen of log construction. This type of structure was used to store a variety of materials, from crops to farm tools. Quite a big difference from the Rubbermaid storage sheds we get at Home Depot today. That's an exquisite piece of construction. And over here we have a well. I'm trying to read and walk at the same time. A well for drinking water was a necessity for Georgians who do not live near fresh water. Over here. Now just got a well here. See if it's still. Yep, You had to turn that when you needed something to drink back in 1845. We have it so easy today. I love all these trees. Everything's in bloom. It's so pretty. All right, this next one we're coming up on is number 5. Can't see it too well through the trees here. It smells so beautiful. It smells like springtime. All these flowers. How cool is that? So this one here is the Dr. Chapman Powell's cabin from 1826, constructed in DeKalb County, Georgia. The brochure says that the little cabin is believed to be the oldest building in DeKalb County. The logs are keyed or locked into place, making the corners of the cabin strong enough to withstand tornadoes. Dr. Powell was instrumental in promoting cordial relations with the Cherokee by providing them with lodging and medical care. He also served as DeKalb County Sheriff and in the state legislature. The house was used as a field hospital in the Battle of Atlanta. Let's go see what we can see. 1826, and it's still in one piece. That's pretty cool. Oh. Dr. Chapman Powell was born in 1798 in North Carolina. He married Betsy Hardman in 1824, and together they moved to DeKalb County, where her brothers lived, and they built this cabin in 1826. Wow. Just imagine, almost 200 years ago, this was somebody's house. At least the first floor of it. I can see stairs in the corner leading to a second story. The simple furnishings reflect a simple life. All of the daily activities would happen in a single room. The small pots by the fireplace were for cooking or heating bath water. The loft upstairs would have been where they raised their family and their children slept. Look at that bed. Definitely a glimpse into the past. Dining table. That is pretty cool. All right, this next sign is a little difficult to read, but in reading my paper brochure, it says that this is the Thornton House, built in 1792 in Greene County, Georgia. Redmond Thornton built this house as the manor house for an indigo plantation on the Georgia frontier after relocating from Virginia in the early 1790s. The building style is typical of Federal era architecture. I'm going to show you this through the south. An interesting feature is the nogging construction on the walls. So that's interesting. Over here, it says that this house dates to around 1792 when George Washington was president. There's just not a soul here. The one person that I saw before, I think, was actually an employee. There's nobody here. I can't believe this was 1792. Wow. Let's go check it out. Looks like we can step inside. This is the parlor of the Thornton house, set up in 1700s fashion. In this period, furniture was kept pushed against the walls until it was needed, and only the required pieces were pulled out. Holy cow. Master bedroom. Let's see. It's hard to get the angles just right. Wow. Sometimes visiting places like this reminds us just how incredibly easy we all have it. This was the dining room. Set up for multi-purpose. It's now set for dessert. That's pretty. Look at the blue ceiling. The old chandelier. Look at those vases over there. Wish the sign wasn't right there. There we go. There we go. Nice fireplace. Now I just noticed this little sign on the board. The Ghosts of Stone Mountain. Old houses are frequently thought to be haunted. There are TV shows and books dedicated to our human curiosity of the unknown, of course, as we know. Historic Square, and the Thornton house in particular, is no different. Guests report strange feelings and sounds or visions of a young girl. In the past, some have believed it is the ghost of Redmond Thornton's daughter. We've even had ghost hunters visit us. Over the years, we've told guests about the ghost stories and been greeted by a reaction of, "I knew it!" Wow. Built in the late 1700s, and the architecture reflects its age. Oh, that's interesting. Many of the windows still have the original wavy glass panes. On some days, if we're having a festival, you can hear sounds from farther away than you might expect. This is because the house is on a subtle hill. Besides, the house has been moved twice, residing first at the High Museum of Art. Can ghosts really travel that much? So they're saying there's all these stories, but yet a lot of times there's a reasonable explanation for it. Okay, the next one, number 7. I'm not gonna like it. You're probably not gonna like it either. But unfortunately, it's a real part of our history, and we can't erase it. We can't pretend these times didn't exist. We can't pretend people weren't treated in this horrific manner. So I'll show you, but feel free to fast forward. I mean, we are in the South, we're in Georgia, and as I've mentioned, some of these houses were built on plantations. And what goes along with plantations of that era just makes me crazy that anybody could have ever thought it was okay to treat human beings like this. Right here are 2 slave cabins. These cabins came from the Mount Pleasant Plantation, now called Graves Plantation. The framing and many of the clapboards are original. Slave cabins were generally very simple structures and varied in size depending on the number of people housed inside. They were usually located near work areas, the work area of the slaves residing there. I don't even like saying that word. I mean, this was real life for some human beings, and that's... I just don't have words for it. I don't think there's a second story, so those stairs must go to maybe a little loft area perhaps, or a little storage area, but you can see it's not tall enough for what I would consider a second story. There appears to be another well back there, and here's the second cabin. Who were the occupants of these cabins? I'll let you read that for yourself. This one has a couple of beds. And the ceiling seems to be pretty open, so there's nothing up there. And that's enough of that. I know it was a different time and it was just normal then. There's another board over here with some more information, and lots of things were normal years ago that we would never think of doing now. So at that time, let's see what this says. A little additional information on the cabins. There are less than a dozen intact slave cabins in the state of Georgia, so finding 2 together like this is very rare. Typically, an entire multi-generational family would live in a single cabin, as it would house up to a dozen people. Like, this area up ahead is said to be the barn and farmyard. Let's see. I'm trying to read and walk at the same time. The barn and farmyard from Gordon County, Georgia, circa 1830. This barn is a rare example of livestock barns found in Georgia in the early 1800s. On display are wagons, carriages, farm tools, and an antique cotton gin. Adjacent to the barn is a farmyard. The vast majority of 19th century residents in what is now the Atlanta metro area lived on small farms and would have kept animals, including sheep and pigs. Let's see. This is kind of hard to... Let's see. So we're over here now. Number 8, 9, 10, this area right back here. And number 8 is the barn. Let's see. That's pretty cool. Restoration in progress. So there's some work going on. barn and farmyard. Can't really go back there anywhere. And here is what is said to be the coach house. A coach house was a feature of large plantations to house carriages and drivers. It also served as guest quarters for visiting drivers. It's pretty. It doesn't say when this was built, but the other area said 1830, so I'm assuming this would be about the same. Can't really see anything inside. And there's this building over here. Oh, this is the smokehouse. Let's see. Now, my paper says this building was used to preserve meats by slowly smoking them over a hickory fire. The large hand-cut salt bin would be used in the preservation process of large amounts of meats. Both salt and sugar can be used in the process of preserving meats without refrigeration. After smoking, they remained hanging from the rafters for storage until needed, and this came from the Mount Pleasant plantation. Oh, wow. That is the smokehouse. There's a fire pit and some lanterns, and I guess those are the beams they would hang the meat from. 1830. Wow. It's just crazy that this is still standing. That any of this is still standing. There's the picture. I guess it was way high up there. Maybe, oh, the higher rafters, okay, is maybe where they hung the meat from. I'm getting a taste for some barbecue. So here is the modern day restrooms, and this house back here is called the Necessary House. So I'm thinking this is the original bathroom. We shall soon see. The paper says that this small handmade brick building includes a 4-seater, each hole a different size, made to fit the largest or smallest family member. Yippers! It's pretty big though, considering its purpose. A 4-seater. What do you know? This would be the cookhouse. Oh, this came from Savannah. You can actually go inside. Oh, and there's access to the garden. So the paper here is saying all of our manor homes had their own separate cookhouses before they were moved here. Having a separate building for food preparation was normal throughout the South on both small farms and large plantations. While reducing the risk of destructive fires, this also removed strong smells and loud noises from the main house. Look at these old rocking rocking chairs. Well, one's a rocking chair, one's a stationary chair. Let's see what's over here. Little table and some utensils. I mean, cooking food back then was a lot harder than it is now. Having to churn their own butter and things. I don't think I ever would have survived. I'm too spoiled with modern amenities. Oh, there's some stairs back there. Yeah, this was a tall house, so from the outside, so I'm pretty sure it has a second story. That's so cool. This sign here has some pretty interesting information. Most cooks preferred open hearth cooking when serving large amounts of people. Fireplaces such as the one here could hold many pots and pans. While many buildings in the northern U.S. had their cooking area connected to the house, available space, labor, and different climate encouraged Southerners to keep their kitchens separate. The fire would likely be burning all day and smoldering overnight with pots of hot cereals that would be ready to eat in the morning. Several people would be working in a cookhouse this large throughout the day. Most of the food prepared would be grown on the plantation itself. Here's the fireplace of the cook's cabin. I'm just thinking of all the yummy, delicious smells that would have been coming out of that chimney back in the day. Now this next house looks like it was a beaut at one time, but it's certainly seen better days. It looks like maybe they've had some kind of fire on the roof there. Let's see if I can get through here. There we go. It's all fenced off, completely fenced off, as you can see. It's construction equipment. The windows are boarded up. Wow, that must have been spectacular back in the day. Whew. I can see part of the roof looks to have been collapsed. I see some blue tarp up there. My paper says this is the Davis house from Calhoun County, Georgia, circa 1856. The house was occupied by descendants of the original owners until it was moved to this park in 1961. Considered an excellent example of neoclassical architecture, the house has 14 rooms covering 6,250 square feet. Here is a view from the front. The twin stairways on the front of the house represent welcoming arms and are supported by columns of handmade curved brick. The house has Palladian arches over the front and music room doors. And it says, be sure to step around the Davis house to see the true front side, which faces the mountain. Sadly, I can't do that since it's all fenced off. But I can still imagine what this must have looked like in its heyday. This next one is said to be a formal garden and gazebo. Wealthy families could enjoy elegant gardens like this one that were made solely for beauty and comfort. The lovely space is available for weddings and other rentals. So where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's back there. This is going out of order. We haven't gotten to the garden yet. The garden is number 15 on the map. This is number 16. This is called the Bride's Cottage. It was moved here from Savannah, Georgia, and the note says, a feature of many plantations was a separate office built for business transactions. This building is currently not open to the public, but is available with garden rental for weddings for bridal preparation. So the bride could get ready inside this building and then have their wedding up here in the formal garden with the gazebo. Aww. could see how this could be really pretty with flowers when things are in bloom. Your guests are on chairs here and over on that side of the aisle. And the bride walks down this aisle to her awaiting groom. That's lovely. That's really, really lovely. Oh, I could see the mountain back there. Oh, look at that. There's Stone Mountain. Oh, here's another angle of this house. That has definitely seen better days. This last building, number 17, is said to be the Powell Academy Schoolhouse. This was transported here from DeKalb County, Georgia, and it was built circa 1875. This was one of the last one-room schoolhouses in DeKalb County. After the Civil War, many small communities built their own schools. The students typically attended from November to February when they were not needed to help on the farm. Students at all grade levels attended together, with more advanced students helping the younger children with their lessons. So the last single room schoolhouse. There is a plaque here acknowledging Powell Academy circa 1875. From 1875 until 1915, children in the Klondike community in southern DeKalb County attended Powell Academy on South Goodard Road. This one-room schoolhouse was capable of housing 25 to 30 students. Relocated and restored in 1987 by and with a grant from J.P. Devlin, Inc., doing business as Georgia National Builders of Atlanta. Whew, can't see a thing. My sunglasses on. Wow. These floorboards feel weird. I think it's okay to walk in here, but I'm guessing that's where the teacher would have been. No desks to write on. They just sat on these little benches back then. And back here, oh, an old organ. So they would have probably music time in school, right? Where they sang songs. That is pretty amazing that this has been restored. Wow. Could you just see all the little children of that era sitting on these benches, getting their lesson for the day from their teacher? So that is it for the old schoolhouse. And that's pretty much it. That building on the right is where you enter, and you come through there to get out onto the grounds. Well, that was really kind of cool. A little something different, not something you see or do every day. Now on the way out, you have to go back through the building that you went through to get on the grounds. And there's a gift shop there, a general store, I think. So I'm gonna check that out too. Well, that's going to just about do it for Stone Mountain Park. How appropriate to end it right here with the mountain behind me, behind all the trees. So I hope you enjoyed seeing it. For, you know, there's a lot of fun stuff here, and there are some reminders of some not so fun stuff, unfortunately. But can't pretend it didn't happen. And it's important that we remember some of these things happened, so we never allow them to happen again. So I thoroughly enjoyed my visit, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it virtually. And maybe one day you'll come out here and say Mary the Girly Girl sent you. Thanks for watching. Bye.